Brand new information on Codename Frontiers, including a raid releasing in the first expansion Apollo. Raid challenge customizations, new dungeons, a brand new mode similar to Pantheon from Into the Light. Alongside that, Bungie investing more than ever before into the activity modifier systems, introducing crazy combatant modifiers like this. Welcome Guardians, let's dive right in. In case you missed it, around September 9th, Bungie revealed some of the first information about Frontiers to us. 3 developer insight articles that went more in depth, and I covered that in a previous video. So if you'd like to learn more about the portal, the core game rewards changing, and core game activities, be sure to check that out. In summary, Destiny 2 will be moving away from episodes next year to 2 medium-sized expansions per year with free updates in between. Codename Apollo releases in the summer, and Codename Behemoth in the fall/winter. I also made another video speculating about Apollo's story and where we may head next, which may actually be somewhere in our solar system, so check that out as well. Let's get into the new information though. The first new article is titled Developer Insight Raids and Dungeons. This discusses their plans for upcoming raid and dungeon content moving into next year. Each expansion will continue to offer aspirational endgame content, either a new raid or a new dungeon, with additional content coming in subsequent major updates. The TLDR is this. Every year will kick off with a brand new raid as part of the first expansion. The following major update will then expand upon this raid, adding new challenges, twists, and rewards. The second expansion each year will deliver a new dungeon with an expanded reward offering. The fourth and final major update of the year will launch an event that leverages legacy raid and dungeon content along the lines of the Pantheon. Raids are a cornerstone of Destiny. They bring fire teams together to tackle overwhelming odds and create legendary moments with the world's first race. So we're still kicking off every year with a new raid, starting with the new raid in Codename Apollo that will stack up against the rich and varied history of experiences in this space. Raids will continue to offer a complete pool of exclusive weapons, armor, and exotics, and these can be obtained at higher tiers by taking on additional challenges. Facing the tall task of following up Salvation's Edge, we are exploring some unique twists on the raid format. This is one area we will not be giving very much information about in the future, as we don't want to risk spoiling the day 1 experience for the raid race. Something new is called raid feats. The current iteration of master raids and challenges have followed a similar format for a few years now, so it's time to change the formula up. Starting with Codename Apollo, new raids will support a raid-specific form of challenge customization, where players can select modifiers called feats. Feats will expose and enforce rules such as time trials, contest combatants, or other mode modifiers unique to the raid. The more feats active during a run, the better chance to earn higher tiered rewards. In the first major update following Codename Apollo, the raid will receive a challenge update adding new rewards, new mechanics, new feats, and potentially even new encounters. This update will kick off with a raid race event and be a venue for experienced raiders to further challenge their skills. In addition to the highest tiers of the raid rewards being available from these challenges, new and exclusive rewards will be added as well, including new weapons and a catalyst for the raid's exotic weapon. So when Codename Apollo comes out, a new raid is going to release, offering new weapons, armor, and exotics, and these can be attained at higher tiers by taking on additional challenges. There's also a challenge customization system called feats, where you can select certain modifiers, and the more you have, the more higher tier rewards you'll get. In the next major update following Apollo's release after the raid has been out, the raid will receive a challenge update which adds new stuff, mechanics, and possibly even encounters. Dungeons are an important part of our endgame activity ecosystem. They provide an accessible raid-like experience that feature unique encounters and mechanics that demand less social coordination and scheduling. So, Codename Behemoth, the second expansion of the year, will bring a brand new dungeon. Also, because the dungeon will be launching as part of our Codename Behemoth expansion, there will no longer be a separate dungeon key. Additionally, the reward offering for new dungeons will be expanded to include full weapon and armor sets on par with raids. Into the Light introduced a raid boss rush event called the Pantheon that put Fireteam's capabilities to the test. This event showed Bungie that the community is hungry for new experiences that break out of the mold of their traditional raids and dungeons. And I do agree, the Pantheon was pretty fun. It was nice to hop on each week with my friends and go after those emblems. So in the fourth major update of that year, they're planning for another event that introduces novelty and allows our team to experiment with legacy raid and dungeon offerings to create surprising aspirational challenges. They are in the early design stages of this event, so more details as they develop. Dungeon content will also figure prominently into the new portal as part of the Pinnacle Ops category. For more information, you can learn on the portal from our previous video or their article. The next developer insight article they released today was called Combatant Modifiers and More. This deep dive is introducing combatant modifiers and how they will fit into their larger modifier system changes, providing new abilities or properties to the enemy combatants you encounter in an activity. These new threats will create new gameplay, raise the challenge, and overall change up the experience from run to run. Here's the TLDR for this article. Bungie is investing more than ever before in our activity modifier systems. Activities will be updated with a library of modifiers that can change how you approach combat on every playthrough. And combatants will gain varied powers and buffs in order to create new gameplay threats and encourage changes in player strategy, especially for higher challenge levels. They start by mentioning the problem. Today in Destiny, playing the same PvE activity repeatedly could feel like a chore, particularly when chasing a reward or following a narrative. Running through the latest exotic mission the second, third, and fourth time just doesn't feel fun enough to justify the time spent. Eventually, you know when each enemy spawns, where to fight them, and how to win without any challenge. This is a component of Destiny 2 we want to greatly improve with Codename Frontiers, keeping activities fresh and challenging each time you run them. The solution is to improve the experience of replaying activity content by adding variety and unpredictability to each playthrough. This starts with a first-class modifier system. Destiny 2 has added modifiers to activities since the launch of the first Nightfall. Who else remembers trying to wrangle Solar Shield Shanks in 2014 Archon Priest? With Codename Frontiers, they're investing more than ever in the modifier systems to improve the fun and challenge in activities. They are creating combatant-focused modifiers that change the way players approach combat on each playthrough, Banes, enemy modifiers, and combat modifiers. Designing modifiers so that they can combine to create a wide variety of experiences, and reduce barriers to entry and time to fun by reducing the number of build crafting necessary modifiers and replacing them with new combat modifiers. So here's what Banes are, also known as combatant affix modifiers. An enemy unit with a Bane will present a different challenge to players according to which Bane is affecting them. Enemies that spawn with these modifiers appear unpredictably during an activity, so each run will present different challenges. Here are two of the Banes they are releasing in Episode 2 Revenant as they start to test out this new system ahead of Frontiers. The first one is called Meteors and Shock. The Meteors Bane gives combatants the ability to launch solar projectiles that track but can be shot down. And Shock will continuously build a charge that will discharge on a single target within line of sight, and killing a unit with this Bane causes it to spread to others nearby. They posted some gameplay. Next up we have Berserk. Killing combatants with Berserk causes other combatants nearby to enrage. Next up, Punchable. Punchable combatants are immune to all range damage and damage from status effects until they are hit with a melee attack. And then we have Nuclear. Once a unit with Nuclear Bane reaches low health, it begins an arming sequence. If the unit is not defeated before the sequence completes, it explodes in a massive fiery shockwave. While Banes will appear intermittently on individual runs, enemy modifiers are used to change base aspects of all enemies in an activity. Adjust your strategies to account for an active enemy modifier, or you may just end up flat-footed when something unexpected happens. For example, under a certain enemy modifier shipping in Revenant, some enemies may have copied some tricks about booby-trapping their drops from a famous Scorn Baron. Modifiers aren't just about changing enemies, they can affect players too. Surge mods are the classic modifier type that's been used for years in Destiny ritual activities, but they've come to realize too many forceful build crafting modifiers can become barriers for players. So they've been working to create new modifiers that are more accepting of varied strategies and builds. More on those to come in the future. Champions still exist in their future for modifiers, but they won't be using any of the Banes mentioned. In Revenant, only one Bane can be present on an enemy at a time. And they're not replacing all of the old modifiers. They're trying to strike a balance of keeping the best old modifiers that work well with the new ones. So if you're still with me to this point, you should count how many times I said modifiers, because it was probably a lot. Modifiers in these challenge systems, both for the raids and just the sandbox overall, seem to be a big focus for Frontiers. Players have been stuck in the same systems for the last couple of years of Destiny, including the seasons, and the way we play the game over and over is kind of repetitive, so hopefully these options change things up and make it feel fresh. With that being said though, let us know how you feel in the comments down below. A new raid releases in the first expansion, with additions coming after, new challenges, possible encounters, twists, and rewards. The second expansion will release a new dungeon with an expanded reward offering. And after that, an event similar to Pantheon from Into the Light. Raid feats and challenges for raids will allow you to change and customize the rewards you receive, and combatant modifiers will change up the way you play certain activities. If you'd like to see some more Destiny news and mysteries like this video, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. Well, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.